When you're so kind of flippant about if we get into the Europa Conference League, well, we'll win it because the team's a dross, would that be an insane achievement?
No.
During our most recent Q&A episode, debate sparked over the Europa Conference League that was so good we had to highlight it as its own clip. Now don't worry, we agree that Villa qualifying and winning the thing would be fantastic of course, but for different reasons. So, whose side are you on? Let us know in the comments below. How far can Unai Emery take us?
He takes the Champions League, can't he?
Yeah, I think so.
You know, I can't say he's going to win us the Premier League, but he can certainly take us the Champions League because that would be what Newcastle have done with Eddie Howe. That's a bit of a short answer, really. But yeah, he can take us to the Champions League. He can get us there. And I think that is the sort of end goal. Not the end goal. Our end goal is to win trophies in Europe as well. So domestically, yeah, Champions League, but he wants to win trophies, doesn't he? And so do we. If you can win a European trophy, that would be, that would be insane. Maybe that's the sort of end goal for him rather than just... That would obviously do both if we did that.
When you're so kind of flippant about if we get into the Europa Conference League, well, we'll win it because the team's a dross, would that be an insane achievement?
No.
Okay.
I don't think it should be a competition. I'm not a fan of it at all. I say it a lot. I've got a weird theory of... I don't know how you can... I don't know how to say it right, but yeah. How can you celebrate things that are...
invented?
For example, right, Italy win the Euros. Yeah. And then they celebrate mad, blah, blah, blah. But then they're not even in the World Cup. So it's almost pointless even celebrating winning the Euros when you can't even win the main trophy or compete in it. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but...
Yeah, but the Euros is still a main trophy. That's like saying don't celebrate the Europa League because it's not the Champions League.
If England win the Euros, I'd be like, oh, great, but I want to win the World Cup. I'm almost like, you're celebrating the second best, if that makes sense. I know Europa League is the second best, but for Villa, it's difficult to say because there's so many good teams. I don't know, if we win the Europa Conference League, I'm not going to sort of sing and dance about it. I'd be happy and it'd be great to win the Europa League, but I wouldn't put that anywhere near, you'd put it in the club museum or whatever, but I wouldn't even put it next to the European Cup. I wouldn't. I know it might sound a bit snobby. It's nothing to do with that at all. It's literally a made-up competition, mate. It is.
Yeah, I kind of get your point to an extent.
Years ago, sorry. Like, it's great if we win it because it gives us the platform for Europa League. But if it didn't win Europa League, I really wouldn't even be that bothered at all. It'd be like a... it's made up. Literally made up. There's no history or anything with it.
The Europa League was made up at some point. The Champions League was made up at some point. Everything has to start somewhere. And I understand your point. I know what you're saying, but for where Villa have been for most of your lifetime, to say that winning the European competition at every level is like, oh, well, we'll just toss it off because it's not the big one.
But I can't. It's just my emotion with it. I've absolutely no... Sorry, I really don't sort of connect with it at all. I get the Europa League and the Champions League, the Euros and the World Cup, because you need to have a secondary competition. I get that. And for Villa anyway, it's like... we might not get in the Champions League in the next 10 years. Who knows? So Europa League is always good and a benefit for clubs like that. But to make a Conference League when West Ham, who might get relegated from the Premier League, are the best teams, so the best team in it. Come on.
It is a little bit Community Shield.
That's
kind of a little bit.
Best. Yeah, like League Cup, FA Cup, there's two there. Euros or Copa delivered World Cup. I think every cup should almost come in twos. To have a third one is just a bit... I think it's true, and especially when it was made a couple of years ago, there's no history or pedigree with it at all.
Is that like the Nations League? World Cup, Euros, Nations League is the third one that no one cares about.
Yeah, if we won the Nations League, who cares?
I've still got the kind of... If Villa are playing the Europa Conference League final against Fiorentina next year and we win it,
yeah, I'd be great.
We'll all be buzzing.
Fantastic. Look, we're in the Europa League. That's what I'd celebrate. I wouldn't celebrate that we've won the trophy. Again, do you know what the trophy looks like? If you draw it, you wouldn't know. I think it's just it was made up a couple of years ago, and if you win it, it basically says you weren't good enough to even win the Europa League or compete in it. You got this. Someone said in the comments, it's a Johnson's Pay trophy. It's true. You can't win that trophy if you're a Europa League team or Champions League team because you're too good for that.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to say I've never seen you kind of be so animated for an argument against something.
I don't think it. I don't like the competition in itself. It just should be another Europa League space. If we win that trophy, there's no... I think it would be almost... I don't know how to put it, but everything we've won in our history, if we then say, oh, we've won, all these trophies, blah, 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 and we won a Europa Conference League, I'd be a bit like... I wouldn't even mention it. Genuinely, it might sound snobby. I don't at this point. I don't get it. It's a made-up competition for teams who aren't good enough to be playing in the Europa League, and that's the Europa League, which is the second best, which is fine because that's about our level, and other clubs' level, who are massive clubs, and you get the Champions League dropouts like Barcelona.
I understand your point, but saying like, it's for the teams that aren't even good enough to be sixth place. It's like, well, yeah, well, that's something for the other 14 to compete for. Then you could be, if sixth place could be, but sixth place could be 65 points, and seventh place could be 64 points, and you're as good as the fifth place team. So, but you get nothing. But with this, you get to go into another competition to try your hand at that instead.
Yeah, but you're in this competition to try and get to the Europa League. Really, you're not winning it for the trophy. Really,
yeah, I suppose.
Like again, if there was no Europa League at the end of it, whatever, Tottenham literally voided it. They were like, "No, we don't want to play against them," and stopped. I don't know the actual reason. Like, I think it was maybe COVID. But if that was the Europa League or the Champions League, do you think they'd be quitting against Real Madrid or Barcelona? Not at all. No one cares. I care about it because in terms of Villa's progression, yeah, that would be great if we could get Europa League and get into that competition. The rest of it's just made up.
I love that this podcast is.
Yeah, do you know who's in the final last year?
No.
I don't think I do. I think it was Feyenoord. I think it was Feyenoord and Roma. And then
I was going to say Roma, but I thought that was the Europa League final. No, because Mourinho won it, didn't he? Mourinho, it was good enough for Mourinho and Roma. Roma were a good side.
Yeah, they're right.
I like how this podcast, after we do the podcast normally, if we're not going to like strict work, got loads of other stuff to do, we can descend into a chat that's just like away from the podcast and we'll have like a chat about something. And I normally end up sitting like this because I'll just kind of relax a little bit more. The podcast has descended into our post-podcast chat of just waffling about whatever. But I'm intrigued to see what people in the comments think. I think if we won the Europa Conference League, that's still an achievement.
No, yeah, but the achievement is then I'm happy because we're then in Europa League. The trophy, it doesn't matter. Like if you're West Ham, then fantastic because that's your first European trophy. Again, I don't even think that should count, but you'd at least try and claim it as like a big achievement that you've won something in Europe. I wouldn't accept that at all. I'd be like,
Bodymore, they've got like Liverpool have got like the trophies on the wall. It's like 7 titles, 5 FA Cups. And would you have one Europa Conference League? Or would you not even put it on the wall?
But when they walk out Villa Park and stuff like that, and they have it above the players, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. If it was Europa League, yeah. But at the moment, that Conference League is literally made up for teams who are the 3rd best team in Switzerland, Bulgaria, and it's apparently the 7th best in England. Made a competition with a trophy that shouldn't be classed as a European. If you won that, you can't put that as like we won a European trophy. No way.
But it is a European trophy.
What was the purpose in that? There's no achievement in beating those teams. It's exactly the same as the Nations League. You bang on with that.
We haven't won a trophy for 20 odd years. It's still a trophy. It breaks the drought of not winning the trophy.
Right. So if we got relegated to League One and we won the Johnston's Paint Trophy, yeah.
Well, what about the playoff final trophy?
Again, no one talks about that. We won the playoff trophy. Is that anywhere at Villa Park, or is it? It
used to be in the reception. I don't know if it's still there anymore.
It shouldn't be. But that's why we didn't do a big open. We didn't even celebrate it apart from when the players come out on the balcony. Yeah. Pretty sure out a statement saying, yeah, we're not going to do anything because obviously this is no real achievement. We shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be in the Conference League. We should be in the Europa League or the Champions League. We shouldn't, that's just my feelings on it. I'd be great, if we won it, fantastic, we're in the Europa League. But then after that, I don't want to be in the Conference League ever again.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm going to clip this out we've done a main Q&A for people that are watching this on YouTube. I'm going to clip this out as its own video and kind of title it, would the Europa Conference League be a success? Because I'm intrigued to see what the debate is. Because I still think if you win any kind of trophy, yes, you take it and move on. But I do kind of understand that it's a final,
exactly,
Community Shield kind of level.
You have to qualify them for not being as good as the teams.
Yeah, I mean, we're going around in circles, so let's just see what the comments say. What kind of side of the debate you on? Do you agree with John, or do you agree with me that it's still kind of some kind of achievement? I know the achievement is getting to the Europa League, but
in my opinion,
we finishing 7th will be our highest finish for 10 odd years. You then get into some kind of European competition. You then win that. The prize is Europa League, but the journey you've gone through to get to Europa League is still worth celebrating. Do you have an open top bus for it? I'm not sure. It's still an achievement, though.
Yeah, an achievement that gets you to the Europa League, and then that's that. Because in our current state of progression, we need to do that. Like we had to win the playoff trophy, but we're not gonna. No one's flinging that around, so we shouldn't do that to the Conference League either. That's just my opinion, and I don't want to sound snobby because I know we've come a long way, but
I've got a feeling you might be battered in the comments for that. But let's just see where it goes. That's your opinion. You're absolutely entitled to it.